Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next Faculty Fellow Spotlight with the Pulte Institute for Global Development. Today, I'm here with Professor Rahul Oka. Can you just introduce yourself, name, title, college, so on and so forth?
So I'm Rahul Oka. I'm Research Associate Professor at the Keough School for Global Affairs, and I'm also at the Department of Anthropology in the College of Arts and Letters. My area of expertise is economic anthropology and specifically studying business cultures in different parts of the world and how traders adapt to different environmental conditions, political conditions, economic conditions. And I've done that through both archaeology as well as cultural anthropology. In recent years, my research has really focused on social economies in conflict zones and refugee camps, and looking at the geopolitics of migration, refuge seeking, humanitarian aid and relief, and the nexus between relief and development. And within the Pulte Institute, the domains of thematic focus that I fit in are humanitarianism, global health, and business and development.
How did you first get involved with global development, and what work have you done specifically with the Pulte Institute?
Tom Hare in the Pulte Institute, he told me about an opportunity. At that time, it was NDIGD, about an opportunity for a grant from the US State Department, the Populations, Refugees and Migration Bureau, to look at vouchers, because there'd been a lot of dissatisfaction with the food aid that was given in kind to refugees, which is just a relief basket of this much grain, these many cereals, this much oil, and people said, well, this does not give any choice to them, it needs to be better. So some places started to do cash, but because refugees as non-citizens, to give cash, you actually the organizations require to follow the law, are required to follow the law of the local country. And the local country says, no, you can't open a bank account if you don't have a permit. As refugees, you can't. So then they decided to do vouchers. And so we applied for the grant, and we compared and contrasted the way that people were using vouchers in asylum centers in Serbia versus the Kakuma refugee camp, where two different kinds of vouchers had been set up. And it was an interesting study in which what we found was that while talking about a market modality, this voucher program called Bamba Chakula, which had been done by the World Food Program, was restricted refugees to which shops they could buy from, which were not the shops that they were used to buying from. They also gave the voucher lines to people who really did not have much experience in managing shops, especially in those areas, and they would offer workshops to show how to do that, but none of the teachers had ever conducted business in those areas. So it's kind of like, I don't need to know that much more about inventory and stock taking as I need to know how to stop people from, how to stop the police from coming and demanding their daily something, or how to essentially maintain supply lines when they're not based on a formal mechanism, but they're based on personal knowledge. How do you get into markets? How do you essentially deal with clients? How do you maintain clientele? These are all things that were not taught to them. And what we found was that the refugees and the shopkeepers that did not have the vouchers, they used their informal networks with the shopkeepers who were business people and who had vouchers to essentially make sure that refugees could buy from the shops that they liked, and the voucher people would be satisfied. And what I called it was essentially, it was a very elegant market workaround to the slightly Soviet-style system that the World Food Program had imposed. And then I did another project with Pulte. This was for RTAC, Research Technical Assistance Center by NORC, University of Chicago, and it's essentially a consortium of 50 universities, and USAID will come for technical support. And so we went in there based on our previous experience with the World Bank and with PRM, to then basically learn the political economy of refugee-host interaction and integration in the two Kenyan refugee camps of Dadaab on the Somali border and then Kakuma on the South Sudan border. And so we did that particular research, and we basically, the research was meant to help the US government determine how you can build a more sustainable, integrated social economy with both refugees and hosts in both places. And this is part of this larger push that has come since 2016 under what is called the Comprehensive Refugee Response Framework, which has 4 objectives. Number one is to ease the burden on the hosting nation of hosting refugees. Number 2 is to integrate refugees into local the social economies that are sustainable and provide dignified pathways to self-sufficiency and higher resilience. Number 3 is better resettlement to third-party countries. And number 4 is sustainable and voluntary and safe repatriation.
What advice would you give to students who want to make a difference in the world?
Think local, think at scale. Think local is because you think you're going to make a difference. And if you believe in any form of statistics, whether it's Bayesian or inferential, the likelihood that you're going to succeed the way you have thought you were going to succeed is actually very low. And I'm not saying don't go there, but really, really look at the fact that if or when you do intervene, who are the people who are going to have to pick up the pieces if/when your intervention doesn't work? Because remember, you have the power to leave and they don't. So give a thought to them and how you might be changing their life. And you can't say, oh, it will be for the better, because you can't know that, right? So before you go anything, think of the unintended consequences of your actions and then proceed. And the other one is think at scale. What works at the local might not work in other areas if you try to scale horizontally or as you try to scale vertically. There are different realities at play, and you're most likely going to find what we've found: extremely successful pilot programs that litter the landscape of the relief development nexus, but that have never been scaled up, because scaling up is a different political economic question. Because with more people, with less control, there are different realities. So, I mean, 2 pieces of advice for people who want to go into this: think local, think scale.
Where can we learn more about your work and/or recent publications?
My Google Scholar page they do all the work. I've got some pages on academia and ResearchGate. My own website at either KO or Department of Anthropology lists some of my more recent works.
Thank you so much, Rahul, for your time and for letting us feature you on our Faculty Fellow Spotlight series. We'll be working with you again soon, I'm sure.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me. I'm honored, and I actually think that Pulte is a gem for Our Ladies University, because my interactions with the Pulte have been, I'm going to knock on wood over here, fully positive and always on the up and up. I've loved the way that the practitioners bring their expertise and we work together as partners. So I might have expertise in an area and its culture and its history but how policy works and so on and so forth, I don't know. And that's where essentially the partnership with Pulte actually has been the best thing at Notre Dame.
Well, thanks again so much.